Yeah, it's your show. Do whatever you want. Like at no point in time did we sort of sit down and say, we should expand our sonic scope.
I think that's some more your smorgasbord style of writing, though. Like, do a couple heavy, and then you want to do something a little softer, and then you do have that country streak in you. So,
Yeah, but I think that there's just so much of everything in all of us musically that it's never a conscious effort like we're gonna write one of these today. I'll be playing something. It's like, and whatever that is stylistically will turn into, well, that's kind of neat. We could probably just do something. I mean, we can work on this for a little bit, and you just see where it goes, and you travel down that avenue for a little while, and you try to decide quickly if this is something worth working on, or are we just wasting our time, and have we, gone down an avenue that we don't need to pursue, and maybe we should try working on something else. But you got to give everything, a decent amount of time, and then if lyrically something just happens to kind of come along, and melodically all of a sudden there's another piece and another piece of the puzzle that starts coming together, and if that's me just doing it by myself, then I'll bring it to the guys. They'll say, what about this little nugget that's here? And it could be just maybe like a line or just something, and the guys will be like, I feel like we've done this thing enough. Let's try something different. Okay. Or sometimes they're like, that's interesting. Let's pursue this a little bit. It rarely is there an effort where we all sit back like mad scientists and just sort of go, you know what we should cook now? It's like,
the only time we did that a little bit was the last album. Remember, it was just like all rock. I think it's like the first time that's ever happened.
if something is so unbalanced in one area, then that'll be a time actually where we will go, all right, we need something. I won't know what it is, but it'll just be, so general, just to say, let's go with something just a little bit more melodic and a little less aggressive for this last song. I don't see that. I don't ever actually see that happening. But it's, but I'm a fan, and I love to dabble. Rockstar, that's pretty much a country song. Photograph, it's pretty much a country song, especially in this day and age. When we've got these, you've got these artists that are, you listen to Jason Aldean, and that's a lot of those tunes. Those are rock songs. You listen to like some of the stuff from Brothers Osborne. I've said before, some of those tunes, they're just like, those are rock songs. These are straight down the pipe. 20 years ago would never ever see the light of day on country radio, but now the landscape has changed. And I like it when the lines get blurred a little bit, and that's probably why we're venturing so far as to take Brantley Gilbert on tour with us, because we want to try different things and we want to move in different directions.
He can two-step.
I can actually two-step.
Can I see that right now? Actually?
Can you two-step?
I can't.
Come here. All right. So we're gonna go just like this.
Okay.
You're gonna be counting it first.
Okay.
It's just gonna go 1, and then a 2, like a quick
Okay.
one, like that, and back. 1, 2, back. 1,
Oh.
2, back. 1, 2, back. 1, 2, back. Boom. Look at one of these. Whack, stay there. Come across the stomach. I'm gonna grab you here, and I'm gonna boom, one of those back to here, and wham, and I got you, and then we're off to the races.
Okay.
There you go. Hey, because when you grow up in a small town, if you can't do that, you're gonna be lonely. My mother taught me that at a very early age. She's like, do you want to be one of the kids that's out there having fun with the other kids, or do you want to be standing on the wall? I'm like, well, I want to have fun with the other kids. She's like, come here. My mother's a dance teacher.
Okay.
And so she's like, let's two-step. I can teach you how to line dance real quick. How much time you got?
Yeah, he doesn't have a country streak in the middle.
Like in the studio, I've relinquished a lot of control. I used to be a little more, no, I know how this song is supposed to sound, and I know the direction I want this to go, and I just need this to be recorded, and that's all. And I was a little more guarded and less open to suggestions. I felt that things started getting a little stale, and the more I relinquished that control and just trusted in my band members, the more interesting things got. The more I was willing to accept different ideas, and it just became far more collaborative, and I enjoyed it more.
Like what period? Like All Our Reasons, or was it Mutt Lang more?
Probably with Mutt, probably Dark Horse. All the Right Reasons, I was still a little more.
Pretty, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I know what I want. I definitely know what I want this to sound like, and we just need to get, just follow me, guys. Just follow me here. Just stay with me. And that must have been incredibly frustrating for my band members when it when it came to the studio. To be sitting there with someone who's just like, I've got this. Just let me get what's in here down first, and then.
Well, you also backed it up by writing #1 singles, so it's not like you're doubting the guy as well. But Mutt was very, try everything, everyone try something.
Absolutely,
like,
it's great.
You opened it up.
It's because if I had kept down that path, everything's just going to be, it's just like Chad, and it's not going to be, then it's just going to all start sounding the same, and I didn't want that. I wanted to think that I was at least clever enough to avoid that trap, to be like, well, how am I gonna do that? It's like, well, you're gonna have to give up some control. You're gonna have to start allowing other people, like, what about this? What about this? And entertain those ideas and go down those avenues as well and try it. What's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna waste 20 minutes? Who cares? What's the best that's gonna happen? Somebody's gonna come up with a really great idea or lead you to the path of a great idea that you wouldn't have come up with yourself, and that's better than anything. Don't be too precious with anything. And I've had to teach this to, I think Mike, especially my brother, the bass player. It's like, just because you came up with a part, you don't have to fight so aggressively to hold on to that idea for the song just because you came up with it. Better's always better, and you have to be willing to say that at any point in time. It doesn't matter what you came up with, better is always better, because the betterment of the song is the goal. We're trying to create something in here that's going to give us the feels, that involuntary emotional response that you might be able to generate from somebody else. We're trying to give someone else the feels. So if we can give ourselves the feels in here, there's a good chance we can give that to somebody else, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create something special to not just for ourselves, but for anybody else out there that might want to latch onto it. There's a song called Guardian Angel. And honestly, it's pretty good. It was, I spoke about several different things within the song. I talked about the planet and what's going on with the climate. I talked about racism. I talked about all these different things in each one of the verses. It's a pretty good song.
Did you ever record it?
No, I never have, but I played it once in an interview. I picked up a guitar and I started strumming it. I think it's on the Q. We did it in Toronto, and I just kind of and I just started spitting out these lines, and that one's been in the back pocket, well, since I was 16, so. It's weird to call this a career. Because I just think of it as,
We're getting away with this.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're fooling someone. Like we got just good enough at our instruments to be able to create something. And now we have somehow convinced the world that we know what we're doing, and we just have no idea what we're doing, truthfully. But somehow we get there. But throughout the career, anytime, lyrically, melodically, sonically, just come up with a little idea. Every little piece, this verse idea, this chorus idea, this 2 a.m, into your phone kind of thing. It's all archived.
You're just doing that on the plane, listening to it. He was just like, he had the guitar, he's trying to figure out what he actually hummed into it. Mm-hmm. It's cool to see that process.
It's very weird. But the vault is great because you'll tuck something away for a rainy day, and it's really cool when you come across something, because you can't remember your mindset when you did it. You can't remember what you were thinking of or the vibe you were thinking of. But when you hear something back, or when you play, if we've got it on a drive somewhere in a studio somewhere, it's just like someone hears something, and the producer turns around and goes, "What's this?" I'm like, "I don't know. let's mess around with this for a couple of days, you know, and then away we go. The other little piece of advice that Mutt dropped was, because he dropped the Never Be Too Precious with an idea. And the other one was, when the faucet's on, pay attention, because someday that faucet's gonna get turned off, whether you like it or not. And so if you've got all this stuff stored up while you're just spitting everything, lyrics and melodies and all this stuff, and you're being very creative at that stage of your life, you will look back on that and be very thankful. And he's like I said, that sooner or later that tap will get shut off. I think when it comes to listening to songs from back in the day, there's the perfectionist side of me that listens to a lot of things because we just simply didn't have the money, we didn't have the funds. So if something was recorded independently, I'd be like, oh, this part could have been so much cooler if we just could have had the time. And we didn't have to use the phrase good enough, because using the phrase good enough in the studio drives me nuts. Good enough. Well, if it's just good enough, why are we recording it? Let's make it great. Let's make this, make this piece very special.
Not enough money back then to spend the time.
It's like, you're spending, $1,500 a day for the studio. You're spending $300 for the engineer. Like, you're recording on 2-inch tape, and each one of those was $400. Like, it's just like these costs, for a bunch of guys who are just working these 9-to-5 jobs, and I'm running a heavy level of BS convincing everybody these songs are great and we need to just keep digging this hole, and at no point in time does anyone say, yeah, I think you should put down the shovel. It's frustrating sometimes to listen back and just be like, oh, if we just had taken just a little more time on this. So that's just some frustration and sometimes a little bit of embarrassment, because I'll know what the lines are that I'm saying, but they're so heavily laden in metaphor because I'm afraid to actually say what I'm really feeling, because I don't want to be judged at that point in time. And I always say that, cracking the code was when I just shed that skin and I wasn't afraid to say anything anymore, even at the cost of like having your mother or father go, really, hey? Just decided to air some family laundry on a record. Wow, thanks for that. To that degree, where it's just like, if it affects you, and no one's safe as a songwriter. It's just like it's probably just going to come out there somehow. So, like, if I wrote a song about domestic violence, like I did on Silver Side Up, and the song's called Never Again, everyone thinks that my dad beat my mother. It's not the case, but I don't get to sit there in the car or in their bedroom or wherever, wherever they are, while they're sitting there formulating an opinion about what they think my father is. So sometimes it gets a little heavy, but all for the sake of art, huh? Yeah. Huh. That's what I get for using, huh?
I'm just thinking of, I never thought about that with Windy.
Yeah.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, the old man went through a phase there where he's just like, well, everyone thinks that I beat your mother. Like, I'm sorry, Dad, but some of it's not, some of it is storytelling, and some of it's, autobiographic.
It seems terrifying to actually expose yourself lyrically that way. Like,
Yeah.
actually make that step.
Reach in here, rip a part of yourself out, and just show it to the entire world, and let the keyboard warriors go to town. But that's when you start, doing your best work. That's when songs start getting, because when things are like guttural, and you can feel that emotion, and you just start, here it comes. The listener can feel that. It's like, ooh, this is good. And not only that, he's telling my story right now. That's when you start making those kinds of connections, instead of someone sitting back going, geez, I wonder what the hell this song's about.
I'd say massive.
Massive is the word that came to mind too, but
just doing the promo for this album. I mean, 5 years ago we did the last album, the promo. Going to people's houses, influencers' houses, to do TikTok videos and stuff. Like, even 5 years ago, that wasn't a thing.
No.
Where it's like we just came out of the crypt after 5 years and we're like, don't even know what world we're in sometimes.
it's a little different. But it's fun, you know, it's cool. Like, you just kind of roll with it. It's a lot of fun to get to show the world that we don't take ourselves seriously, you know. You've got all these pictures of the band and we're doing this, you know, the metal pose or this, that, or whatever. And then you got these 4 supposed adults that are just laughing at every fart joke you can imagine, like just being
Those jokes will never get old.
No, that's true. Just being total goofballs, you know, but everyone's just like, wow, these 4 losers really take themselves seriously. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was truly that thing. It's like, well, we're just gonna go back to the same well. We're gonna go right back to the same very short list of opening acts and ask all of them, hey, do you wanna come? And it's just gonna be the same show. You know, I'm like, let's do something different. Let's think outside of the box. Let's start doing something a little bit different. As soon as he came up, it was like, this could be cool. This could be a good fit. I mean, because he's not so country that it's just two completely different. Because he's country rock. He's country with that edge. You know, he's just got enough edge where it's like, I think we could pull this off. I think we could pull this off without too many eyebrows raising. But I'm also really interested to see how many of our fans are going to sing along to his stuff and how many of his fans are going to sing along to our stuff. We want to create an experience. This could either be the worst decision ever, which I doubt. I really don't think it is.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I think we got a shot of something. This being really, really cool. Any song I don't want to play has nothing to do with the song. It has to do with the difficulty of performing the song. And it's usually stuff that's not a lot of space to breathe. You know, when I start off a song and it's like, I'm driving black on black, just got my license back, I got this feeling in my veins, this train is coming off the track. I'll ask polite if the devil needs a ride because the angel on my right ain't hanging out with me tonight. And that's, yeah, and then you get one, and then you've got to do that, and then again, and now we're going up, and it's like, here we go, and it's like,
You still write songs like that?
oh, it's dumb. It's so dumb.
Well, you know, because you love lyrics so much.
I love lyrics.
You love storytelling, loves the challenge of the lyrics.
And I love getting that cadence in there where it's just like, you know, that was the first thing when Mutt worked with us. He's like, why don't you want to breathe during the song? I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, so anytime I see things that are like, oh, or if it's stratospheric, if I'm like, oh, I got to go hit this note for a while, that's the only time I look down and go, oh, this is going to hurt.
Or songs that we like but doesn't connect with the crowd, or it's kind of like crickets, like we really like playing it.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel good after. It's like
da-da, and finish this off, and it was like, okay, well, I guess that was my pee break, or I should have got a beer, maybe hit the merch booth or something like that. Yeah, that's all, because that's like the best joke going. Because if someone's sitting there and they're watching the show, and we can see everything from inside the arena. So if I say, all right, we're gonna play a new one for you guys, and you see people start heading up, it's like, you better stop at the merch booth if you guys are heading up there right now. You know, that kind of stuff, so. I was at a birthday party. It was in Northern California, and there was 1,000 people there. I mean, this is an eclectic bunch, just all over the map. And I wind up meeting this gentleman, and he was talking about, you know, the band and whatnot. He goes, oh, singer for Nickelback, right on, nice to meet you. Hi. You know what I do for a living? What do you do for a living? He said, I'm the warden at San Quentin. And he was way too young. I was just like, and I thought he was just pulling a line on me. And I'm like, yeah, right. And everyone behind him was sort of like, oh, you're actually the warden at San Quentin. I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. And then I started asking a bunch of dumb jail questions, and he's like, well, you know, honestly, we're a little bit more about rehabilitation. I'm like, yeah, right. But instantly, I in the back of my head, I'm thinking to myself, I'm writing a song. I'm writing a song called San Quentin. There's that Dewey Cox moment. Don't you dare do it. Don't you dare write a song right now, Dewey Cox. And I'm right in the middle of the conversation. I'm just like, I stopped listening even. I'm just like, oh, this would be a cool lyric. Oh, this would be kind of interesting. And I'm just sitting there just jotting down lines in my head.
I've gotten my use from our conversation.
Yes. Well, you get very German. Oh, thank you very much. How you've been very useful. Auf Wiedersehen.
And then you had that riff in the vault, right?
I had the music and one line, me screaming, can somebody please keep me the hell out of San Quentin? And that sat in that shape like that for probably 8 to 9 months. Just sitting there, just like that. And then it'd be 11 o'clock at night, there's no one around. I go to the studio, it's my old hay barn. I get up there, crack a beer, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. Crank it up. 20 minutes later, I got nothing. And that was like 3 times. I kept coming back to this and like, scream something, come up with something. And then I kind of cracked it one day and I started spitting out a couple lines. Baseford was there, Chris Baseford, our producer. And he's like, oh, that's cool. Why don't we go down that avenue? And I'm like, yeah, okay, there we go. Now I'm onto something. And then once I know the direction of where we're going, then it's just, you just get in descriptive mode. And it's like, okay, once you know your melody and you know thematically where you're going, then away you go. I had the lines, never made it as a wise man, couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. I'm tired of living like a blind man, I'm sick of sight without a sense of feeling. And that had come to me on a tour bus somewhere, and I was like, oh, that's juicy. I had to write that down. I wrote that down in this book that I had, and then that just got put away for a while. And then I got into an argument with my girlfriend I was living with, and which is always over nothing, pizza toppings and things about as serious as that, and you just wind up getting in an argument over something dumb. Ugh, and I got frustrated. I went downstairs and I turned my PA on and I started singing, and then she got the, it's not like you to say sorry, I was waiting on a different story, probably because it rhymed with sorry. And this time I'm mistaken for handing you a heart worth breaking, and I've been wrong, but the whole thing. But, and I'm spitting out all this stuff, and I want it loud enough so she can hear all of it, and I'm just giving it to her. And
no, take that.
Yeah, take this. And then I open up the book, and I'm like, there's got to be a verse, and that's when I did the Never Made It as Wise Man, and I started off like that, and then I kept singing the chorus over again and again, and I had enough of it there, and then I recorded the idea, and I went upstairs, and I thought she was gonna be like, oh, you think you're funny, do you? I come upstairs, and I'm just ready, and I got 2 in the barrel, metaphorically, ready to fire a couple, cheap shots at her. And she goes, what were you playing down there? And I go, I don't know, something, I was just writing it. She goes, well, it's good. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. This is not the reaction I was expecting to get. I was just waiting for her to just like say something. I'm like, you want to pick up where we left off? Yeah. What was that? I don't know, something I'm working on. It's really good. Damn it. But it's funny because I had the skeleton form of it, and I drove over to, this is before you could just make a voice note, an email, or just text it over to somebody and they could listen to it. I got in the car with an acoustic guitar, drove over to Peake's place, and I said, hey, I want to play something for you, just tell me what you think. And I played him How You Remind Me, and he was nodding, and he's like, huh. He's like, this is good. And from the loft upstairs where his wife was, she's over the railing going, that's a hit, that's a hit. And she's yelling that, like when Ryan tells the story. It's great. It's hilarious. But yeah, she was given that one. She's like, that's the seal of approval right there. That's a great song.
She nailed it.
Yeah, she did. She really did. And then once we recorded it, suddenly, because even back then, like you burn a CD, that goes into a FedEx pack, that goes to New York, the label hears it, and once they heard How You Remind Me, everything changed. Suddenly, it wasn't just Ron, our A&R guy, sitting there. Suddenly, there was a lot of label people that started coming out. So, like, even Dave Rath, who was in finance at the time, and like everybody, there was like a lot of people that wanted to like, we want to hear more of the record. What's going on here? And the excitement started to bubble up. And then a version of it went to the owner of the label, Case Wessels in Amsterdam. And when he heard it, all hell broke loose. And he was just like, your lives are about to change drastically. Like, I'm gonna get this song played all over the world.
I let go.
Yeah, and so then, like, things really changed. Like, it was crazy. I remember showing up to pre-production for the tour, for the Silver Side Up tour. And I'd been partying all night long. And for some reason, I was supposed to meet everybody at the parking lot at the Coliseum in Vancouver. So I get to the parking lot, and we're not even playing the Coliseum. We're playing a show in another city in Victoria. And we were gonna do 2 days of pre-production, then the tour was gonna start. That's it. And I show up and I'm like, whose crap is this? And there were trucks everywhere and buses lined up everywhere. I'm like, what's all this? And he's like, well, those are your tour buses. I'm like, all those? He's like, all of them. Whose trucks are those? Those are yours. There's 60 people standing in the parking lot. I'm like, who's it? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. That's your lighting crew, that's your audio crew, there's your staging crew, that's your pyro crew. That's this. And I'm like, I go, who's the big guy behind me? That's your new bodyguard, and you don't go anywhere without him. I'm like, you're kidding me. This is all ours. He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, where are we playing? He goes, every arena on the planet. By the way, they're all sold out. So the song had a little impact on our careers.
Crazy.
That one is definitely about 3 of the 4 band members growing up in a small town in Hannah. And you played your part just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel's walking around in a hayfield in his red shirt.
Trying to pretend like I have memories. I'm like, I don't know where I was like drunk in the video, like I'm just in a field somewhere. Let's get out of here.
You look great in that video.
I do look great.
It was cool because we hadn't been back to Hannah in a long time. It was also sad at the same time to see, like, you know, because in Photograph I'm talking about like the movie theater being gone and all that, and sure enough we got there and it was gone, and I didn't even know it was gone. But I say it in the song, which is hilarious. Our director Nigel Dick, who's probably shot 20 videos for the band, he'd shown up probably 2 days earlier, and he had started just grabbing all these people from town and just shooting shots of them. And I didn't see any of that until I got the first cut of the video, and I'm like, I know those humans. Those 2 girls, the twins that are walking across the street, I'm like, that's the Griffith sisters, which is very bizarre because they're brothers. There's 2 twin boys and 2 twin girls in the family. I'm like, and then I see this whole thing coming together, and Nigel had this entire image. Yeah, shooting the video for Photograph was really cool for us. And then we played our part in the gym.
Yeah.
We're in the gymnasium of what was my junior high school, but way back in the day, like 50 years before, it was the actual high school before we built a new one. So it still says Hannah High School on top. So when we're walking into the building, it says Hannah High School. So we get in there, and I broke into that exact school. I think I have 11 counts of break and enter on my criminal record, but I think I must have done it half a dozen times, is what I say in the song. And then my principal, Mr. Brenton, he came out, and he, you know, like all the people that were there when all of it went down, like it was crazy. And so Canada's MTV, Much Music, they had a full camera crew there, and like the whole town is watching us play in the gym. Like there was just like so many people there from my past. It was awesome. Yeah, and like to just watch, you know, these people getting interviewed and talking about like this idiot right here and how much, and I was such a troublemaker. God, I was a bad kid. I can't believe, I would have got, if it was an island, they would have either drowned me or I'd have been voted off real quick. Like, we got to get rid of this one. This one's causing problems. Yeah. What do you listen to? What's a fave?
Actually, there's a song called Mariposa by a band called Radiant Child. It's kind of like if Erykah Badu went to Berkeley.
Really coming.
Really like beautiful R&B voice, this female, but kind of jazzy chords, but it's not jazz. It's kind of hip hop.
Cool.
Yeah, it's real good background music kind of thing. I'm really into them lately.
I'm in a huge nostalgic point in my life, and so I want to grab something that made me feel a certain way, and I want to see if it can do it to me again. You know, so if I'm in the vehicle, I'm by myself, and it starts raining, and you know, all of a sudden, I'll want to put on like Depeche Mode. You know, something like Mike would play, like some really obscure thing that you wouldn't think that I would be listening to. You know, and Policy of Truth. I love that tune. And all of a sudden, I start getting the feels, and it's working. That's what I'm kind of into right now, is going into like these different parts of my life and seeing if I can grab those tunes that would make me feel that way. see if I can still get that feeling.
Jeez, I've been kind of doing that lately. Is that an old guy thing? I don't know. It's weird.
During COVID, we got the metrics from, I think it was Spotify, and the way that people were consuming music was in that period, in that time period, people were going to back catalog of all of these bands, and they wanted to be transported right back to a certain period in their life, and back catalog was being consumed 92% more than any new music. What do you got?
What do you think I'm going to say? One of them.
One of them's gonna be Rush.
Yeah, it's got to be Rush. Anything off the Moving Pictures. Heavily influenced by Neil Peart. And I'm a bass player as well. So
You gotta pick one. They want 5. You gotta do 5 tunes.
Okay, Red Barchetta.
Boom.
By Rush.
Okay.
Now you.
One of my favorite tunes of all time's gotta be Harvester of Sorrow off And Justice for All by Metallica.
Mr. DC by John McLaughlin. Ooh. Yeah. I was heavily influenced by Dennis Chambers. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Holy, especially in his heyday. I grew up on rock drummers. And then I just wanted to get even better, so I started to get into jazz fusion, and there's a whole nother level of musicians up there. And I can hear it in my solos, the influence.
I played 2 shows with Dennis Chambers.
You bastard.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because when I did the last song I did with Santana, Dennis Chambers was playing drums.
Yeah.
And I'm also a drummer, and Dennis Chambers is a beast.
Yeah,
So to just be sitting there, I'm just like, don't fanboy. But all you want to do is just like, remember the time? I just want to do that. Okay, so now we got 3. Okay, I'm gonna do this song. Can just like get me. It just grabs me. Have a Drink on Me by AC/DC. If I'm in a bar and I'm in second gear, it's straight into 5, probably without even using the clutch, and it's just like, here we go. That comes on, and I have the hardest time not screaming along, just like, and that is not good for this. But there you go. There's 4. What do you got?
Oh, I was a huge Bonham fan, but what would be a fave?
Zepp?
It's hard to say a fave. There's a big influence. I had the progressive rock influence, but then I think I got a lot of feel from playing along to Led Zeppelin.
Ramble on.
Yeah, it's all right.
Not bad.
It's not my favorite, but
it's
an awesome song.
I asked Jason Bonham.
Custard pie.
There we go.
Pie.
So in the beginning of Ramble On, and you hear that tapping sound, and it's unaccented.
Yeah.
You notice that? It's not even like, it's not
No, it's just
ding ding doo doo. Ding ding doo. Ding ding.
Is it actual knee slaps?
So I asked him.
That was synchronized.
We knew when to stop. The end of the bar. I asked Jason, I said, what's the tapping sound? Because I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but confirm it for me. And he said, my dad grabbed an empty guitar case, they put a mic on it, and he just started tapping, unaccented, on the top of an empty acoustic case, and that's how. And then
yeah, so good. Not saying I don't like that song, but wow, they're all good. Okay.
That's it. That's 5. Like it's 6 if it.
Oh, do you mean 5 each?
No, 5 in total. Come on. You like that? No.
I didn't even get to Alan Holdsworth yet.
Yeah, good.
Zarabeth by Alan Holdsworth. There, stick that in your pipe.
Yeah.
Smoke it.